This is the intro video for Algebra 1, Section 7.2, and we're going to be multiplying and dividing rational expressions. And maybe it's good to know that we've actually done this in the past. We haven't done it with variables before, but even back in elementary school and middle school, you've been doing things like this in the past. So we're going to start off by doing a problem kind of like that, a problem like something like you've probably done in your past, and that's number one. We're going to talk about how you multiply two fractions together. So here we have 3/5 times 2/7. And the way that you multiply two fractions together is you multiply the numerators together and you multiply the denominators together. And in this particular case, when you do that, 3 times 2 is 6, 5 times 7 is 35. And we always want to, at the end here, double check to make sure that the fraction is simplified all the way. Often the instructions will say to simplify. And we look at this, there's not a common factor between 6 and 35, and so 6/35 would be the correct answer for this one. Let's take a look at number 2. So clearly you can see with number 2, the numerators and the denominators now involve variables. And so we're going to check out what to do with that. And the truth of the matter is you do the exact same thing that we just did. When you're multiplying two fractions together, you multiply the numerators together and you multiply the denominators together. And this is where all the work that we've done in the past with exponent rules will be coming in handy. So what I'm going to do here first, I'm going to multiply my two denominators together. I've got x to the first times 5x cubed. And so when I multiply two bases together, like bases, then I add my exponents. So this would be 5 times x to the fourth. In the numerator, it's not totally obvious because some symbols that are often there aren't there. But in the top, I want to think about what we're doing here. We're obviously multiplying x plus 7 times 6. But we want to think, is it 7 times 6, or is it x times 6, or is it both? The truth is, it's both, because we're multiplying the whole numerator times 6, the whole numerator of x plus 7. And so this is really a distributive property. So I'm going to be multiplying the 6 times both the x and the 7. So it would be 6x plus 42. So make a mental note of that sometimes you might have to insert some parentheses in there to make the multiplication pattern clear. And again, we want to double check to make sure that we have left this in a simplified form. And it looks like we have. There's no whole factors that cancel out. Okay, we're going to do one more. Let's check out number 3. Okay, so number 3 says multiply and simplify completely. I don't know that we have to go necessarily in that order, but I think there is definitely some work we need to do. So first of all, notice this 3x right here appears to not be a fraction, and of course the way that it's written, it really isn't. But it might be useful to write it as a fraction. You can always write something as a fraction by simply writing it over 1. So I think I'd write this as 3x over 1 times 2x minus 4 over x. Okay, so like we've done before, in order to multiply two fractions together, we multiply the denominators together and we multiply the numerators together. And when we do that, I'm going to write it out. I'll show a couple of steps here. I'm going to write it out like this. It would be 3x parentheses 2x minus 4. Again, it's kind of a distributive property, really, what we'll be looking at here in the end. And then, of course, over 1 times x is x. This might be a good place to talk about the simplifying completely. Based on what we did back in 7.1 where we simplified rational expressions, this would be one where we could simplify. And if you notice in the top, I've got 3 factors. I've got the 3, the x, and the 2x minus 4. So of those 3 factors, one of them is actually going to cancel with the denominator, right? It's this one right here. This factor of x, that whole factor, will cancel with that whole factor, leaving us with a final simplified answer. I guess not quite simplified, but 3 parentheses 2x minus 4. And then to finally simplify it, we need to do the distributive property. That would give us 6x minus 12. So if we didn't cancel out the x's on this step right here, we could have done that at the end. I think it's easiest to do it when we have the factors written out there pretty clearly. All right, that's it. When you come to class, we'll continue to practice with this, and I'll see you then.